How bad did you want this win tonight?
It ain't nothing I want more. Ain't nothing I want more.
When
I told you when I first came here, I said I ain't come here to waste my time. I came here, they gave us a chance to get in like we asked for, and that's what we're here to do.
We all saw what happened last night. Damian Lillard, 61 points. Absolute dog. I mean, should we even be surprised at this point? He's been saying the Blazers are making the playoffs no matter what since before even the bubble started. And when you think about it, has he ever not backed up his talk? Looking at the standings, the Blazers have solidified themselves as the 8th seed in the West, overtaking the injury-ridden Grizzlies. With their roster back at almost full strength with the exception of Rodney Hood and CJ McCollum's fractured back, the Blazers have been an absolute problem, taking the league by storm with a 5-2 record. And with the hospital team that is the Brooklyn Nets as their final matchup, it seems all but certain that the Blazers are getting into the playoffs, setting themselves up for a date with the number 1 seeded Lakers. And if there's a team that the Lakers would want to avoid, it's definitely the Blazers. And when I say that Portland has been one of the best teams in the league, I'm not exaggerating. Statistically, they've been absolutely dominant on the offensive end, as they rank first in offensive rating, second in points, second in three-pointers made, second in three-point percentage, third in free throw percentage, and first in turnovers. And on the defensive end, they've improved on what was an extremely poor defensive season, ranking 8th in rebounds per game, 10th in steals, and 7th in blocks. Dame has been an absolute monster, and we shouldn't be surprised at this. He's been leading the Blazers with averages of 37 points and 9.3 assists, to go along with an absurd 5.1 threes a game. CJ has been fighting injury, but continues to do his best as the Blazers' second option, averaging 19.4 points and 5 assists. However, the biggest difference has been the resurgence of the Blazers' supporting cast, beginning with a revitalized Carmelo Anthony who's averaging 17.6 points and about 7 rebounds on 50% shooting from 3 for the Blazers. Gary Trent has clearly worked on his game with the time off and has been absolutely lights out, averaging 17 points per game and nearly 4.5 threes a game, while providing the Blazers with solid wing defense, much needed with the departure of Trevor Ariza. Zach Collins' return has given the Blazers that boost they need on the glass, with him averaging nearly 7.5 rebounds per game. However, the biggest change that we've seen has been the addition of Jusuf Nurkic, and is the biggest reason, aside from the stellar play of Lillard of course, as to why the Blazers are as successful as they are, especially on the defensive end. He's come back up to speed quicker than anyone could have ever imagined after his serious leg injury, averaging 17 points, 10.3 rebounds, 4.1 assists, 1.4 steals, and 2.3 blocks. He's been absolutely a stud, and do-it-all guy for the Blazers, whether it be setting hard screens, making the right passes out of the post, or rolling hard to the rim. He does all the little things that Portland needs, and it's great to finally see him back on the court. With this revamped lineup, the Blazers have seen themselves take games against some of the best teams in the league, taking key games against the Grizzlies, Rockets, Nuggets, 76ers, and most recently the Dallas Mavericks. And with the Blazers this hot, the Lakers should prepare themselves for a very tough first round matchup, and here's why. Firstly, and the biggest issue for the Lakers, is that they've shown that in the bubble they've had trouble stopping the elite guards in the league. Kyle Lowry dropped 33 points in a victory against the Lakers. Donovan Mitchell also dropped 33 points, while Mike Conley, who is a shell of his former self, dropped 24 points on the Lakers. Chris Paul took over the game for the Oklahoma City Thunder, finishing with 21 points. James Harden, without Russell Westbrook, dropped 39 points. And TJ Warren, Malcolm Brogdon, and Victor Oladipo combined for 105 out of 116 of Indiana's points, in a 116-105 victory against the Lakers. And while people may say that the Lakers are coasting, the fact is that these things happened even when the Lakers had their best perimeter defenders like KCP, Danny Green, Alex Caruso, Kyle Kuzma, and Dion Waiters playing, and these things still happened. They definitely miss the presence of Avery Bradley right now. The Lakers haven't shown in the bubble yet that they can constantly clamp down on the perimeter, or at least make life tough for opposing perimeter players. And when looking at Portland, they have two of the best shot creators and shot makers in the league, in Damian Lillard and CJ McCollum, with Dame averaging 36 points per game against the Lakers this season, and CJ averaging 17 points against the Lakers this season as well. What's even scarier is that not only is Dame riding one of the hottest streaks we've seen in the history of the game coming into this series, but it's that Dame and CJ were able to average these numbers with a roster that was never at full strength. And now that the Blazers have everyone operating at their fullest capabilities, there's no telling how the Lakers plan to stop Dame and CJ now that they're surrounded with a number of threats on the perimeter like Carmelo and Trent, and capable bigs down low like Nurkic, Collins, and Whiteside. And speaking of capable bigs, another reason why the Blazers will definitely give the Lakers some trouble in the first round is that they have the size to match up, especially down low. Looking at LA, they thrive on their rebounding and inside scoring presence, with their core guys down there being LeBron, AD, JaVale, and Dwight. However, to counter, the Blazers have their set of bigs as well, who aren't slouches at all, with Yusuf Nurkic, Hassan Whiteside, Zach Collins, and Carmelo Anthony surprisingly, who are all guys who have shown they can crash the glass and know how to protect the rim. And while the Lakers definitely have the advantage here talent-wise, I believe the rebounding differential between these two teams will definitely be closer than a lot of people think, and especially a lot closer than Lakers fans think. And on top of this, the buckets inside will definitely not come as easy as it does against smaller teams, forcing the Lakers to work extremely hard for their buckets down low. I mean, when you have Nurkic and Whiteside anchoring it down low, both guys who average over 2 blocks per game, it's going to be pretty tough getting it over them. And for the final reason the Lakers should not take the Blazers lightly whatsoever is, of course, the outside shooting disparity. And when I say disparity, it is a massive gap between the two teams, bigger than the size of the Grand Canyon. And now to preface this, the Lakers were never the best shooting team during the pre-bubble season. They were just 23rd in the league, hitting 11 threes per game on just 34.8% from there, which was 22nd in the league. But in the bubble, it has been an absolute nightmare, and honestly, it's been extremely ugly to watch. Out of the 22 teams invited to the bubble, the Lakers rank dead last in threes made, and 3-point percentage, hitting just 9.1 threes a game on an abysmal 28.3% shooting. And while you can attribute some of this to rust, this is definitely something the Lakers will need to improve on if they want to win it all. And on a positive note, they did show great signs of improvement against the Denver Nuggets, hitting 14 out of 29 threes. But aside from the Rockets, like I said before, the Blazers are hitting the second most threes in the league with a whopping 15.7 per game and hitting them at an insane 42.6% clip. They say that the three-pointer is the great equalizer, which I definitely believe will hold true in this series. Should the Lakers continue their cold spell and the Blazers remain red hot from the outside, it's going to be an extremely tough battle for both teams with extremely exciting games throughout the series. And am I going out on a way too early limb predicting this series? Probably, but despite all the deficiencies the Lakers have shown, I still believe they'll pull out the series in 6 to 7 games, with every game being very close entering the fourth quarter. The thing is, as much as people hate him, you can't doubt LeBron in the playoffs because he's a completely different animal, but the same beast, and has proved time and time again that when his back is against the wall and the pressure is on, he comes alive. But the same can be said for the Blazers, as they've shown that you can never count them out, no matter the circumstances. And as long as they have that man Damian Lillard firing away and absolutely torching the league, and playing like the league's best point guard, they'll always have a chance to come out on top, whoever the competition. But remember, this is just my opinion, so comment down below if you think the Blazers are going to come out on top against the Lakers, or if you think the Lakers will take the series easily. Who knows? But with all that being said, don't forget to like the video as well, subscribe and turn on post notifications, I'd appreciate it very much. But with all that being said, remember, Skip Bayless, this is your fault for activating playoff Lillard, and you too Clippers, this is your fault as well.